This is a video tutorial to help you know how to convert using the metric system. Before we start converting, it's helpful just to practice a little bit with what the best unit to measure with. So let's say I hired you to work at a zoo and said, hey, go take the mass, the length, and the volume of this elephant. What do you think the best unit to measure that would be? Do you think the mass would be best measured in kilograms, grams, or milligrams? The length, kilometers, meters, centimeters, or millimeters, and volume, kiloliters, liters, or milliliters. Would you pause the video and see what you think? Alright, let's see what the correct answer is. Mass, definitely going to want to measure in kilograms for an elephant. Length, the meter would probably be the best unit. Volume, probably kiloliters would be the best unit. Okay, what if I asked you to do the same thing for planet Earth? What would be the best units for those? Go ahead and pause the video and see what you come up with. Best units would be kilogram for the mass. The length would be, or the diameter more appropriately, kilometer or kilometer. And volume, probably the kilometer. Sorry. Kiloliter. Try that. Okay, one more practice problem here. Basketball. What do you think? Pause the video. Try it. Mass. Probably going to be about grams. Length. Probably going to be centimeters. And volume. Probably going to be the liter. Now, if you want to, see if you can guess what the actual mass, length, and volume of a basketball would be. And you can pause the video if you want to try. Turns out it's about 600 grams, about 28.5 centimeters, and about 8.5 liters. Okay, this chart's just to help you out with metric conversions. So I've given this to you in a handout also, but the way I like to think about it is even though the prefix milli, actually let's jump down to base units first, get ahead of myself. These are the base units, okay? And the base units abbreviations are right here: meter, liter, gram, seconds, and degrees Celsius. And all base units always have a starting unit of 1. Now we can either get bigger or smaller than that. If we make units that are smaller, like the centimeter and the millimeter, or the centiliter and the milliliter, etc., they're smaller, so they're fractions of a whole. Now don't get confused, because if you have, just like a cent goes into a dollar, okay, so if I have a cent a dollar, I have 1/100th of a dollar, but it would take 100 of those to get back to the base unit, so you would need 100 of them to get to the base unit. And if you start out with a millidollar, for example, we don't have such a thing in American currency, it would actually take 1,000 of them to do that. Okay, so think of it that way. And then if you were starting at the base unit and you were trying to get to a kilo, okay, you would need 1,000 of the base units to get to a kilo. So for example, there are 1,000 grams in a kilogram. Hey, let's do a practice problem here. Let's say the problem was how many centimeters are in 0.25 meters. So let's say that's our practice problem. Now we need to solve that. First step is write down what it is you know. In this problem, you have been given that there are 0.25 meters. So that's step 1. So step 1, write down 0.25 meters. And then step 2 is always multiply that by some conversion factor. And then say what it is you're trying to get to. In this case, we're trying to get to centimeters. So the way we would do this is we would try to find what goes on that fraction. And we're going to keep this as a separate step for the sake of illustration. So I'm just going to copy down what I already have. Multiplied by some fraction is equal to centimeters. So how do we get to centimeters here? The first thing I do is I say, what two units am I working with here? Meters and centimeters. And if we want to get rid of meters, we're going to always put that on the bottom of the fraction. We want to get rid of meters. That means these will cancel out. And the unit we want to keep always goes on the top. Right? So now the thing is we got to do is figure out, are there centimeters in a meter or meters in a centimeter? And you should be thinking to yourself that centimeters are the smaller unit, so you're going to have some number of centimeters that goes into a meter. And exactly how many is that? Well, you would look at the chart here and you go, okay, 1/100th is what a centi means, but remember it takes 100 of them to get to the base unit. So there are 100 centimeters in every 1 meter. And then it's just a simple matter of basic math. You're going to multiply your 0.25 times 100 divided by 1. And when you multiply by 100, of course you have 2 zeros here, so you're going to move the decimal 2 places to the right. 1, 2. So you end up with 25. The meters again canceled, and so you're left with centimeters as a unit. So that means that 0.25 meters that we started with is the same as 25 centimeters. And let's do another problem. So let's say this time we want to know how many liters are there in 5,280.2 milliliters. All right, well, this is what the problem starts us with. So that's the first step. We're going to copy that down. So step number 1, copy that down. 5,280.2 milliliters is multiplied by, because we always multiply, switch to black here, we're going to multiply by some fraction, which is equal to the unit that we want to get to, which in this case is liters. So we want to know how many liters is 5,280.2 milliliters. So step 2, and once you get going on these, you can actually combine steps 1 and 2 into a single step, but I'm just trying to illustrate it this way. So I'm going to just copy down what I have, 5,280.2 milliliters multiplied by some fraction is equal to some number of liters. So what is the fraction we want to multiply by? Well, we're going from milliliters to liters, so we want to think to ourselves, what goes on the fraction sign here? What units are we going to use? And the answer to that is we want to get rid of milliliters, so again we put milliliters on the bottom. We want to get rid of them. We want to keep liters. We're going to put it on the top. So then we have to look at the conversion chart. Are liters or milliliters smaller? And the answer is milliliters are smaller. So we have to say that a milliliter is 1/1000th of a liter, so it would take 1,000 of them to get to here. Take 1,000 of them to get to a liter. So we're going to put 1,000. We're going to put 1,000 on the bottom, and only 1 on the top because there are 1,000 milliliters in every liter. And now the problem just simply is multiplying across. So you're going to multiply 5,280.2 times 1 and then divide it by 1,000, which is basically the exact same thing as just simply dividing by 1,000. There's 3 zeros in my 1,000, so I'm going to move the decimal 3 places to the left. 1, 2, 3. So my answer is going to be 5.2802. My milliliters cancel, and I'm left with liters. So there are 5,280.2 milliliters is the exact same thing as 5.2802 liters. So don't ask you to memorize a lot in this class, but I do expect, let me clear the screen, I do expect you to basically know this chart. I would expect you to know that a milli means 1,000th, centi means 100th, and kilo means 1,000 in the base units as well. So I hope that helps as a tutorial.